are the key constructs of a resilient system?
So I think there's two things really to think about, and those familiar with IT risk management or even data risk management will be pretty aware of these. And the one of these is certainly adverse events. So what kinds of things can happen outside of my environment that are going to affect the continuity of my data space? And the other one are adverse conditions or situations within my environment that are going to affect the continuity or my data operations and the things I need to do with respect to data. So maybe some examples. What is an example of an adverse event? And although this doesn't happen that often, it's really useful from an example perspective. You've got someone that walks into your data server room, accidentally bumps a server with sufficient force, disk crashes. Oops. Okay, I've got an adverse event. Have I got a plan in place to ensure that we can respond to this event really quickly? Another one is longevity as an event. So we know that that magnetic media is not a long-term storage medium. In fact, you might have learned that the hard way if any of you were storing your photos or music on a flash drive from 20 years ago and discovering, oh gosh, it's corrupt. Yeah, magnetic media doesn't last forever, and that is an event that certainly is something that you begin to look at from a resilience perspective. For adverse conditions, let's think about one of the big challenges in the data space. So it's certainly not only about managing internal data, but your bleeding edge kind of organizations really start to think about what other data can I use to augment my data to strengthen our ability for a strategic response or for new data-driven strategies. And that involves looking at external data and figuring out ways to fuse that data with our internal data. For those familiar with relational database technology, it's relatively easy inside there. You've got primary keys and foreign keys, nicely linked. If you've got a high relational integrity database, all works really well. But with external data, first of all, there's no guarantee there's any key of any sort. If there is some kind of key, almost guaranteed it's not going to be anything that relates to anything in your internal environment. So the challenge is, how do I ensure under the environment of data fusion or interoperability now, because I'm looking for interoperability between external and internal data, that fusion is being done correctly and that you've devised a test routine to ensure that the fusion actually makes sense. Another one is data age. So we were speaking about media age earlier as an example. Another one is data age. Much data doesn't have an infinite life. So for example, think of someone's address, someone moves. Yep, there's now old data. So which is the data that's most relevant? Well, it's the current address of a customer. But if I don't have the current address of the customer and I've only got the old address, yeah, that data, it's data I can't really use. It's not to say the data isn't useful, because I may want to track things over time, a longitudinal analysis, but certainly that condition does constrain how I begin to, or really, one of the things is, what's the validity of my data? What is, is it current? Is it something I can use? And certainly that is one of the, well, those are the two constructs that are really important in this space.